Hello everyone, welcome to session 33 of Selenium Java training. In today's session, I am going to start developing a framework and thereby automate a live project with the help of this developed framework. So, so far, we covered different framework concepts, right? We covered different framework concepts so far like TestNG, Maven, a lot of things we covered so far. In today's session, I am going to start developing a framework from scratch. Okay, developing a framework. So if you remember all the things that I explained so far, okay, as part of the framework concepts, let me tell you what are the different things I explained so far. For example, we have covered a lot of things, right? Starting from here, like page object model, page factory. Then we covered somewhere here TestNG. Then grid here. I mean not grid. This properties files. A lot of things we covered. Let me write down few things here. First thing is TestNG. TestNG is a framework concept. Followed by here we covered TestNG. Before that we covered Maven. Maven is another framework concept we covered as part of the previous sessions. So this one, taking screenshots. Okay, we'll be using this thing also, like taking how to take screenshots. Okay, taking screenshot is also part of this framework. Then we have properties. Okay, properties, centralized properties. Instead of hard coding the data, we use properties in separate properties file. Then we have page object model and page factory. Page object model, other one is page factory. Then we have Maven is already there. Jenkins we'll use at some point of time at the end mostly. Then we have this extend reports. Okay, I'm writing here. I'm just continuing this list here, guys. Okay, on the other side, extend reports. We have log4j, log4j. Okay, we have log4j. What else we discussed? What else I covered as part of the previous sessions? These are all the framework concepts, guys. This is already there. So then we have Cucumber and BDD again, right? We have Cucumber and BDD. So these are the several different framework concepts we have covered before coming here. So with the knowledge of all these things, today I'm going to start developing a framework. This development of the framework involves all these different framework concepts I mentioned here now. Okay. So in a step-by-step manner, we are going to develop a detailed framework. And after developing the framework, I am going to use the same framework for automating a scenario on a live application. Fine. So let's get started with developing a framework now. So no need to worry much because you see all the steps are like written already here. So we are just going to follow all these steps in a step-by-step manner. And when you follow all these steps in a step-by-step manner, at the end you will get a framework, guys. This may take a while, guys. Okay, this development of the framework itself will take 2 to 3 sessions. So be with me. So be with me in developing the framework. Fine, in a detailed manner. So guys, while I explain the framework, few things may already covered. Okay, for example, if I am trying to integrate extend reports into the framework while developing it, I'm not going to I'm not going to explain anything about extent reports again, because extent reports concept is already explained as part of the previous sessions. Fine. So you're getting my thing right. While developing the framework, we'll go in a step-by-step manner. So our focus will be more on integrating everything together rather than again covering all these things, because Log4j is already covered for you in the previous sessions. Extent reports concept is clearly explained for you in the previous sessions. Cucumber and BDD was covered as part of 4 sessions. TestNG as part of 4 sessions, like that Maven, everything is covered already for you. We just need to integrate them. Okay, we already have the tools. We just need to fix and make the required product available, something like that. So now let's start developing a framework, guys, without wasting any more time. So first of all, what we have to do, we have to create a Maven project, and we have to select this quick start archetype. So how to do that? You have to say file, new, generally we say project, and under this we'll go to the Maven and select this Maven project. Click on next. Now click on next. So Maven hyphen quick start hyphen archetype. Let's search for this. Let it load, guys. So once it loads, this particular thing can be searched here. It's taking some time now. Yeah, almost there. So it's searched for this, but okay, I'll just change this so that fine. I'll say quick start instead. Quick start hyphen archetype. Just filtering, guys. Filtering to see whether we'll get Apache. We need to get Apache. What's that? One minute, guys. Apache. Let's see whether we got that or not. Fine, we'll go to the previous thing and then see. 1 minute. Let's go there. Here, what's the word we generally use? Not this one. Here, this one. Maven hyphen archetype quick start. Right? We generally search for this in the here, and we should get it actually. Yeah, this is coming now, guys. Okay. So Maven hyphen archetype hyphen quick start. We have to select this one. Arch Apache Maven archetypes. Maven archetype quick start. This one we have to select. We have to be carefully. Okay, we have to carefully select this one. Don't select other archetype, because it will not give you the proper Maven project, whatever we wanted. Click on next. Here, give something. So since we are developing a framework project, I will say. Okay, I will say framework project for now, and I will give something here. You can give anything as group ID. The project name should be proper. That is framework project. After that, the package name should be proper. So I'll say FD pack. Okay, some package name I'm giving. Framework development package FD pack. Let the Maven project be ready. So we are simply doing nothing, guys. First step is just create a Maven project, nothing more than that. So Maven project is created now. Expand this, expand src, expand everything. Delete this app.java, guys. Okay. So wherever you see this app.java, simply delete it. It's not required for us. Right click, delete. Fine. We are done with the first step. That where We have to create a Maven project, and we created it successfully. Now let's move to the next step. This is how, guys, we are going to go step by step, and then finally we'll develop a framework. So add the dependency tags for below. Let's add all these dependency tags which are required for the frameworks. Okay, this particular framework needs all this dependency tags. So I'm not going to add all these dependency tags during the other like required at the required time. Rather, I'm just adding all these things beforehand. Okay, so that things will be easy for us during the next steps. So first thing I will add is WebDriver Manager. We'll go to pom.xml file, open the pom.xml file. So and at same time, so let's minimize everything here so that these are all not required. So our focus should be on this pom.xml file. So already we have this some JUnit dependency here. So I'll remove this JUnit for a while, guys. Okay, for a while I'll remove the JUnit. Whenever required, I'll add it back. Okay, if it is required, I will add. For now, I don't require JUnit. So I'm just keeping this dependency tags blank. Inside this dependency tags, I'll add the dependency tags for all these different things. Like first starting with WebDriver Manager. So where to go, guys? We have to go to mvnrepository.com. Okay, we have to go to mvnrepository.com and search for WebDriver Manager and search for it. Click on this. So here we'll go with this latest version of WebDriver Manager, that is 4.2.0. Open that and you'll get this dependency tags. Copy the dependency tags and go into the dependencies and paste it in the dependencies tags of pom.xml file. Save it. Next, should not wait here. Let's go with all the things. Selenium Java is the next one. So search for same MVN repository, search for Selenium Java, and you'll get this Selenium Java here. Click on this, and here select this latest stable version of Selenium Java available so far in the market. That is 3.141.59 is the latest stable version. So I'll go with the latest stable version. Copy this again, paste into the pom.xml file, dependency tags. Save it. Now let's move to the next one, that is TestNG. So it's very simple, guys. You already know all this stuff. Okay, TestNG. Search for TestNG. So arch.testng, click on this. Take the latest stable version of TestNG 7.3.0. Copy the dependency tags. Paste here. That's it. Save it. When you save, all the required jar files of this specified dependency in the pom.xml file will be downloaded, as you already know. Next one is log4j. When you are actually doing with log4j, you should get log4j from these two places. First one is log4j API. Other one is log4j core. So simply we'll search for log4j for now, log4j. And here we need to get from two places. What is that? Log4j core, log4j API. If you can see here, log4j API, log4j core. So let's get log4j API first. Here is the one. Okay, log4j API, log4j API. Click on this. So take the get the latest stable version, that is 2.13.3, 2.13.3. Okay, copy this and paste it here. That's it. Save it. And one more, apart from log4j API, as part of log4j, we need to get one more thing. Dependency tags for log4j API is done. We have to get for log4j core. So again, search for log4j. We'll get log4j core also. Okay, log4j core. Click on this. Get the latest stable version 2.13.3. Copy them and paste here. You see, this log4j API, log4j core should have the same version. So since we are taking the latest stable version, both are same here, 2.13.3, 2.13.3. Save it. Done. What next? We are done with log4j also. Now go with Apache Commons IO. Apache Commons IO. Search for Apache Commons IO. When you search for Apache Commons IO, you'll get this thing, Commons IO, Commons IO. Click on this. So latest stable version is 2.7. Click on this. Copy this. Copy this dependency tags and paste it here. Okay, and paste it here. That's it. Save it. Now the next one is the final one is extend reports, guys. Okay, extend reports. Extend reports. Search for this extend reports, and from com event stack you'll get this extend reports. Click on this. Get the latest stable version, that is 5.0.3. Click on this and then copy this dependency tags and paste here. That's it. So now guys, we added all the required dependency tags. So all the jar files got downloaded. So now this is the next step. Second step is also done, guys. Now we'll go to the framework and then we'll create a base class. First, let's create a base class. So why a base class is required, you will understand soon. Okay. So first of all, let's create a resources package under src main Java. So blindly follow all these steps, guys. At the end, you will get a framework. Simple. Okay. So under src main Java, create a new package. Right click new package. I'll name this package as resources. Click on finish. Under resources, create a new class known as base class. Click on finish. Okay. We created a resource package. Under that, we created a base class. So inside this base class, we are going to create a method, guys. I'll tell you what is that method and all. I'll tell you. We'll create a method to initialize the browser inside the base class. So you can say initialize browser or initialize driver, whatever you feel. So public void initialize. Let's say driver, guys. Okay, initialize browser or driver. Anything you can name anything here. So what is the purpose of this method? The purpose of the method is to initialize the driver. So generally what you will do, guys, first. So when you start automating, okay, so you need to decide which browser your automation script should run, right? So here this particular method will receive browser name, okay, string browser name, public void initialize driver string. This will receive browser name, guys. Okay, we have to pass the browser name. Based on the browser name, the driver will be initialized. We'll see that in action now. So already have written some code here, guys. We'll use this as a reference. Very simple one, guys. Very simple one. Already we are passing this particular pub initialize driver method. Okay, this is a like a user defined method to which we are passing the browser name. This method will receive the browser name. Based on the browser name, the driver need to be initialized. The driver need to be initialized. So, okay. Let's say we are not passing anything here. Okay. Let's say we are not passing anything to this method. Simply we are putting that here, string browser name. String browser name is equal to, let's say I am just mentioning the browser name as Firefox. We'll create a method. Inside the method, we'll create this browser name variable. Initially it is Firefox. Now here we'll write something like this. WebDriver. So we'll do something here. If this browser name, if browser name dot, we are just verifying what is the browser name. Okay, if the browser name is mentioned as Firefox here, so something like that. Okay, browser name dot equals. You can either take equals or equals ignore case. I feel equals ignore case will be better, guys. Okay, so we're not worried about Firefox is given in capital format or small letter format. Okay, this equals ignore case will work in both cases. So let's select equals ignore case instead of equals. but if browser name, given browser name is equals Chrome, like this we'll write. Okay, if it equals Chrome, then do something. Then do something. That is what we'll write, guys. We'll write the code WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver. Okay, this is Chrome because this is Chrome, right? If you go inside this if block, we have to we have to create the WebDriver manager like this. WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot setup. Now what is the next step? WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Like this we have to write. WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Over the mouse on WebDriver, import this WebDriver. You see, we don't have to add the dependency tags for Selenium, Java, or some other things because in pom.xml5 we already added all the required jar files, okay, all the required dependency tags of the things in advance. So no need to worry now. So over the mouse, import Chrome driver from Selenium. That's it. Fine. What next? If browser dot equals ignore case Chrome, then WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot setup. WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Okay, that's the next step. Fine. Next, otherwise, else if browser name dot equals ignore case, if it is Firefox, what we have to do? If it is Firefox, we have to write WebDriver manager dot Firefox driver dot setup. Here also same step we have to write, right? Here also same step we have to write. So let's write WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver. WebDriver driver is equal to new Firefox driver. Over the mouse, import Firefox driver. Next thing, else if browser name dot equals ignore case, if it is we can say internet, if it is IE, let's say, okay, if you have given IE here, some IE, then you have to write something like this: WebDriver manager dot. So which driver we have to take? We have to take IE driver this time. You see, this is IE driver. Okay, IE driver dot setup. Then WebDriver driver is equal to new Internet Explorer driver. Like this, we have to write the steps, guys. Based on the condition matching, we have to write the steps inside here. Fine. Now, once this is done, so you see something is repeating, guys. For every driver, you are declaring it, right? In every if block, else if block, else if block, you are just declaring every time. So make this outside, okay? Make this go outside here. So in the base, just put it here like this, semicolon. And you don't have to declare every time, okay? It is now made global. This driver can be accessed here, can be accessed here, can be accessed here. In all the different blocks, it can be accessed. Fine. Now, so based on the based on the given browser name, we are able to, okay, we are able to initiate it. Here, if you give Firefox, Firefox is not equal to Chrome. So this will not be executed. Firefox equal to Firefox. True. So it will go inside this else if block and it will WebDriver manager will set up this Firefox driver and then driver is equal to new Firefox driver. So which browser will launch, guys, here? Which browser will launch? Firefox browser will launch here. Okay. If you give Firefox, Firefox browser will launch. If you give Chrome here, this condition will match and Chrome browser will be launched here. If you give Internet Explorer, if you give IE here, Internet Explorer or IE here, okay, this will match here and it will launch the Internet Explorer browser. Like this, the code is written for now. Fine. Now outside this code, we have to write some other steps. That is, we'll use this same driver, driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. No matter which browser is selected here, no matter which browser is selected in this else if blocks, okay, will at the end we'll maximize the browser, and we will add some implicit timeout. Driver dot manage dot timeouts dot implicitly wait for some 10 seconds. Let's say, let's give 10 seconds, guys. Time unit dot seconds. Okay, what else left in initializing this driver? We're just passing the browser name. We're just giving the browser name here. If you specify something here, based on that only, the browser will launch. So fine, let's cross check whether we are done with everything or not. Looks good so far. Yeah. Only thing that we were missing is, yes, we are initializing the driver. This particular method, when called, should return the driver, guys. Whatever the driver that got initialized, right? That driver should be returned by this initialized driver. So here I will say return this driver, return this driver. That's it. Nothing more than that. Okay. Initialize the driver and return the driver. Change the method return type to WebDriver. Okay, done. So this method creation is done now, guys. So why we have created this initialize driver method? Because I'm not going to write initialize driver steps. This code I am not going to write in the test cases. Okay. In the test classes, I am not going to write this code again and again. Every test requires, every test requires this initialize driver, right? Before running every test, we need to launch a browser and all. Then only we can perform the test. So this code can be reusable. That's why we created a base class, and inside the base class, we created a reusable method known as initialize driver. Okay, we'll simply call this method wherever we need to launch a browser. You'll see that in action soon. So first step is create this base class under resources package of src main Java. Inside this base class, create a reusable method known as initialize driver like this. This is the code, guys. Okay, this is the code. This is the code for initializing the driver. This is the generally we'll write this code just before, right? Like before launching the browser, maximizing the browser, implicitly wait. All this code we generally write in the automation tests. Same thing, we just separated it into a reusable method known as initialize driver. Instead of writing all these steps again and again, we'll simply call this method, and these steps will taken care of, and this driver will be retrieved, and we'll be working on this particular driver, which is already using this driver. We already open a browser, and also we maximize the browser, and we added some implicit timeout. Okay, timeout for this driver also. So like this, we have initialized this particular driver. Simply call this method, you will get this initialized driver. That's why we are calling this method as initialize driver. You can give any name to this method, guys. Okay, this is a user defined method. So next thing is, so here we have done something, guys. That is, if you can see here, we just hard coded this Firefox. Right or wrong? We just hard coded this Firefox, guys. This Firefox is hard coded. You should not hard code this Firefox. So tomorrow your client wants you to run your automation scripts on Chrome browser. Again, you should not come to this base class and change Chrome here. Okay. So tomorrow, again, your client want you run your automations, complete automation tests on IE browser. Again, you should not come to this base class and then change IE here. That's not the proper way. So this should not be hard coded. Okay. This should not be hard coded. This Firefox option should not be hard coded. Instead, we are going to implement the properties. Okay. Properties, and like you already know about properties. I'm not going to explain again anyhow. So we are going to create the properties file, and we are going to retrieve this browser name from the properties file. Okay. So we'll do one thing. We'll create this properties file under resources pack again. So the same resources pack, right click and select new, select other, and here under general, guys. Okay. Under general folder, you will find this file. Click on next. Here give some the name of the properties file. Let's say data.properties. You can give any name to this properties file. The extension should be same. Dot properties should be same, but the name of the properties file can be anything. I'm just giving data.properties. Click on finish. a properties file got created. In this properties file, I'll give browser is equal to say Chrome. I'll give the browser is equal to Chrome. From here, this particular base class, this particular thing should not be hard coded. This is hard coding, guys. We are manually writing the name. Here we should not hard code this browser name. So instead, we have to read this browser name from this properties file. How to do that is the thing. So, so here we'll modify the this particular thing like this. So we'll go here and in the base.java, we'll write something related to the properties and how to do that. Create an object for the properties. Properties prop is equal to new properties. Properties prop is equal to new properties we have to create. Over the mouse, import this properties from java.util. Okay. And now we have to load this properties file. How to load this properties file? Using this, we can load prop dot load. This requires input stream. Prop dot load input stream. You already know all this stuff. I already explained about properties file, properties in the previous sessions only. So I'm not going to cover everything again, guys. Simply I'm going to write this prop dot load. Here input stream is required, so I'll say file input stream. FIS is equal to new file input stream. So here I need to give the path of this properties file. This properties file is under. Okay, so here we'll take something in a proper way. We have to navigate to this properties file, right? If you say right click properties, you see this is the path, guys. This is the project path. After the project path, from here to here we have to add, right? So when you give this project to other person, your friend may copy this project in some other drive or some other location. So this may change, this part may change. So this part may change. So instead of that, what we can do is we'll say here string proper prop path. Okay, prop path is equal to properties path is equal to system dot get property. In this say user dot dir. The double quote say user dot dir. So this will get you the path of this project, guys. Dynamically it will get you the path of the project, no matter in which drive it is. Give this particular path. Up to here it will give this path. Right click on the project. Properties say this is the path of the project. This properties path, this project path will be retrieved by the system.get property of user dot directory. So to this path, we have to append the remaining sections. What is the remaining section? Remaining section is up to here is a project path. The remaining section is this one. So we have to say double slash src double slash main double slash java double slash resources, then say data dot properties. Okay. So we have to say double slash under this project double slash src first. Double slash src is a path. Then double slash under src we have main. Okay, under src we have main folder. So main. Under main we have java. Again double slash java. Under java we have resources pack. So give double slash resources. Under resources we have data dot properties. Give the data dot properties. This is a path, guys. Okay, this is a path. The data dot properties path. This path just specify inside this file input stream like this. Put a semicolon here and hover the mouse, import this file input stream. That's it. Okay. Now give this file input stream to this prop.load of FIS. It is asking you to put this in try catch block or something. So I will add this to throws declaration for now because we are very good with the path. So this path is not going to change. So I'm just adding the throws. So you can also surround this with try catch block also. It's up to you guys. Okay, how you want to take it. You can either throw it or you can handle this with try catch block. Anything is fine. Now save this. I'm just not surrounding with this try catch block because this will make the code complex and you may not be able to understand this concept. So I'm just simply throwing the exception. Fine, prop.load FIS is done. Now we have loaded this properties file. The next thing is we just need to read get this data Chrome from this properties file. How to get this? The property name is browser, guys. So here instead of giving Firefox, what we can do is We'll say prop dot get property. Okay, we have to give the key. What is the key? Key is nothing but browser. Browser is a key, right? Browser is a key. You see here, this browser is a key and value is Chrome. So this will get you the browser name. From where it is getting? From the properties file it is getting. Now guys, we don't have to hard code. We have avoided hard coding the browser name inside this initialize driver method. So from where we are reading this browser name, we are getting the browser name from data.properties. Tomorrow the client want you to run your automation scripts on Firefox. Simply you just change the Chrome to Firefox. That's it. Okay. Here, go to the data.properties, change it to Firefox. So your script will run on the Firefox. So now all the properties, all the instead of hard coding, we are putting them in the centralized place known as data.properties case. So properties is also implemented as part of this framework now. Let's cross check whether we have done anything wrong or okay, just cross check. So everything looks good guys. Properties path we have provided and we have loaded it. We have provided the browser name like this. Instead of hard coding, we have provided the browser name like this. We are getting the browser name from the properties file. So remaining thing, everything is same. Fine. So far so good guys. So this part is over guys. Now let's move to the next one. So now let's start creating the test guys. Okay. Now the time has come for us to create the automation tests. So for that, we'll create a class for login test under test package. So what we can do is first we'll create a, so this is src main Java. If you can see here, src main Java, we are putting the resources under src main Java. And other thing we have is src test Java here. In the Maven project, we have src main Java, src test Java. Under src test Java, right click here and create a new package known as the name it as test. You can name it anything guys. Here resources can be named as anything. Here test can be named as anything. So whatever you feel understandable, you can give that kind of names. I feel test here is understandable, so test I'll say under this test I'll create the test cases. So test classes I'll create. Right click, I'll close this guys. I'll close the base.java. So let's focus on the test. So right click on the test and say new and create a new class. I want to automate something like this. So I want to automate this thing, guys. Tutorials Ninja demo. You already know Tutorials Ninja demo, right? I want to automate this scenario where I have to go to this tutorialsninja.com/demo. Then I have to click on this my account. Then I want to click on this login. Then I want to enter this username, enter this password, and click on login. All these steps we have to do. Okay, all the steps I have to do. I have to verify whether I have successfully logged in or not. This is a test I am going to automate, guys. This is the test. This looks like a real application, right? This looks like a real e-commerce application. Using this real e-commerce application, I'm going to automate that login scenario. To automate that, I'll create the login test. You already know this login test and all. I explained as part of the previous sessions. I showed you an end-to-end scenario on the login test already of this tutorial Ninja demo anyhow. So you should feel comfortable now if you have practiced well. So login test, you just give for the class name, click on finish. Inside this login test class, create a method known as public void some login. Okay, login. Just give some name of the method. Okay, I'll convert this method into the testng method. I'll convert this method into the testng method. How to convert this method into testng method? Guys, tell me how to convert this method into the testng method. What I have to do for conversion? What I have to do, guys? Yes, you are right, Karan. We simply have to add at the rate test. Okay, I'll simply add at the rate test here and hold the mouse on at the rate test and import this from JNet or TestNG. TestNG I have to import. Add TestNG or TestNG annotations. Done. That's it. Now this test method got converted into TestNG test method. So the things have started now. So a lot of things we are using together. If you see, the framework will club all the framework concepts together. Lot of what are the different things that are covered so far as part of this framework? Maven, we have already created the Maven project. First thing. Then we have implemented the properties. Implemented the properties, right? Properties. We created the properties file here. That is also done. Now TestNG also started now. Okay, we have started using the TestNG. So this method is nothing but testng method. So testng. So far three things are covered. As part of this framework, so far three things are already covered. So remaining things we are going to cover step by step. Fine. So in this method, I'm going to write some code. Okay. Let's wait. So then, so guys, I want to, first thing is that I want to launch the browser. So do I have to write the code again? Already have written some code for launching the browser in this initialize driver method, right? Of the base class, if you remember, right? Just now. So this code is already written, like how to launch the browser and maximize it and add implicit weight. So I don't want to write the same code again and again in the, no matter how many tests you will create, no matter how many test cases, test automation scripts you create. So every test automation script will use a reusable method from here. This initialize driver will be reused. So how to reuse this? One way is that I'll make this base class as a parent of this login test. What will happen is, how to make this base class as a parent of this login test? Simply say login test extends base login test. This login test is now the child class of the base parent class. This base is already created here. Over the mouse on base and import this base from resources package. From resources package, we are importing the base. So now if you extend this base, all the variables and methods of the base are now part of the login test also. Login test inherits them. So if I want to call this initialize driver method, okay, this is a variable, this is a method, right? If I have to call this initialize driver method, simply I just need to call it, guys. Okay, I don't have to create this initialize driver again. Now login test is the child class of the base. Simply put that here. This will also work. This will work, guys. Okay, initialize driver will work for you. So simply add throws for now. So initialize driver. This will return you the driver, guys. Okay, this will return you the driver. So where you have to put that, I'll put it here. Okay, inside the class I'll say web driver. Driver is equal to, okay, web driver. Over the mouse import this web driver. So I will return this web driver to this driver object. So driver is equal to, like this I'll create. Okay, or you can write like this also for now. Okay, web driver is equal to, like this you can write if you want. So this initialized driver is returning you, this initialized driver is returning you web driver. So I'll say driver is equal to, over the mouse, sorry, over the mouse, and sorry, where is that, create local variable driver. That's it. Okay, when you say that web driver is equal to initialized driver will come. The first step, guys. Okay, so you don't have to write all the code again. Whatever this method, the code that is there in this method, right, you don't have to write again. All this thing is already written, right? Initialize driver, simply call this initialize driver method. Just extend the base class and simply call this method. So what will happen, this method will be called. Okay, this method will be called. You don't have to create an object and all those stuff. Okay, you don't have to create an object for the base class, and using that object you don't have to call this method. Instead of that, you are simply making this base class as a parent of this login test. Since you are making the base class as a parent of the login test, now you can directly call this method without creating the object. You can call this method, guys, initialize driver method. So inside the child class you can directly call this method. So this method will return the web driver. So just say driver web driver, you got that required driver here. So this driver has already launched the browser, already maximized the browser. Okay, already has an implicit weight given. So all the basic steps are all basic steps required for installing the browser driver is already there here with this driver. Fine. So next step we'll go with the next step, that is, so initialize the browser, we already called that. We have to now open the application. Okay, we have to now open the application URL. Fine, we'll copy this and see this as a reference. So we just need to add this thing, nothing more than that. Okay, once we got web driver initialized driver, we have to say driver dot get. What is the URL, guys? The URL is here, right? Copy this URL and paste it here. So this is a URL, tutorialsninja/demo. Copy this and paste it here. That's it, nothing more than that. Save this. What next after this? So let's run the code, guys. Let's run the code whether to see whether this particular test is executing or not. Okay. When you run this login test, class, it should be able to run this code. It should be able to open the required browser, maximize the browser, and then open this application URL. This is happening or not? So how to run this? How to run this code, guys? How to run this login test? Right click on login test, run as test.ng test is there already. Okay, click on that test.ng test. This should launch the browser and open the application URL, that is tutorialsninja.com/demo. You see, launching the browser and opening the application URL happened. So things are working fine. Whatever the code we have written so far is working fine. This initialize driver method is called, which is actually opening the browser. For example, if you want to open another browser, let's say I don't want to open Chrome browser, I want to open Firefox browser. So go to the data properties and change this Chrome to Firefox. Save it. Now run this code. Right click, run as test.ng test. This time Firefox browser should be launched, guys, not Chrome browser. Simply change the properties in the properties file and you will get the results. Okay, you need to get the Firefox browser this time, not Chrome browser. So it's taking some time. You see, the Firefox browser got launched. It has to open the application URL. Yeah, it's opening application URL. You see, yeah, that's it. Now this time, this is Firefox browser. This is Firefox browser. So like this, we can actually make the things easy, guys. Okay, framework will make you do the things easier manner. Reusability has there. You see, one of the advantage of the framework is reusability. So no matter how many test cases you create, you have to initialize the driver. You don't have to write the same code again and again in the every test case. Simply call this method known as initialize driver. That's it. You don't have to write everywhere. So and hard coding is gone, right? Using these properties, we have eliminated the hard coding part. Okay. Now simply say browser is equal to Chrome. So things will be good for us. So we implemented the properties file and we have reduced the hard coding part. And one more thing also, we are hard coding here, guys. As you can see, you're hard coding the URL here. Tomorrow, client wants you to run all these automation scripts on a different URL of the application. There may be different URLs in the project, right? Staging URLs, different staging 1, staging 2 URLs, like that. Many URLs may be there for the application. So if client want you to, okay, give test use the application on a different URL for testing purpose, for automating purpose, then you should not go to each and every test case and modify this. This hard coding should be avoided here. So how to avoid this hard coding? Again, open this data.properties. Here say, what is that, guys? URL is equal to, just copy paste this URL. Okay. So hard coding should be avoided everywhere, guys. So hard coding URL is equal to this URL. So instead of specifying this URL, we will say, we'll do one thing, guys. We'll make the things easy for us. So we'll go to the base and we'll make this global. Okay, in the base class we'll make this prop global and I'll make this public, guys, so that you can access it everywhere. Public properties prop, public properties prop. This prop is having these properties. So now when you make this properties as public, you can access it here in the login test. So here I will say, since this particular login test is the extending the base class, since login test is extending the base class, the variables and methods are part of the child classes. So you can simply use this prop in the child classes. So I will say prop dot get property, prop dot get property. Which property, guys? Property is nothing but here URL property. Copy this URL and put that in the double quotes here. That's it. So you're avoiding the hard coding part here. Okay, we are avoiding the hard coding. We're not hard coding now. So we are getting the browser from the browser URL, I mean application URL from the properties file now instead of hard coding. So this is also done. Next step. Next step is so just have to check whether things are working or not. Okay. So because these are high level configurations, right? What happens is like when you do some changes, we have to keep on checking whether these changes are working or not. We have written something here, we have modified something. We are now getting the properties from the properties file. We have to make sure that this change is working or not. How to do that? Right click on this, right click on this login test.java and run as testng test to see whether the code is working, whether this hard coding removal is working or not. So you see browser is launched. It should open the application URL. Then things are working fine. Otherwise, there is something problematic. Let's see whether the application is opening. So still no application is opened. So something happened. Null pointer exception is coming. What's the problem? Why we are getting this? We have to investigate now. So prop.get property URL. Things are good. Somewhere we are doing some mistake, guys. This URL we have to get from the prop.get property. Okay. So what is the problem? There may be some problem. Let's see the code and see whether we are doing any mistake anywhere. Let's cross check our code and see whether we are doing any mistake. I made it public already. This properties prop as public. You see there is a mistake here. Right? I'm declaring it here. Again, I'm declaring here. What's the use? Null pointer will come. You should not declare. You have to use this declaration inside also. So remove this declaration inside. This declaration should be global, guys. Then only null pointer exception will not come. If you declare internally inside the method, then this is different and this becomes different, and you are passing the null pointer to the login test. That's the problem, guys. Now see, properties prop is declared here outside this method, and prop is equal to new properties is there. So now let's see whether what will happen. So this is how we make mistakes, guys. Let's run this. Right click run as test test. This time it may work. If not work, we'll troubleshoot it. You see, this time it is working, right? This time it is working. Fine. Done. Passes is equal to 1. So it's working fine, guys. There's no exception now. It's opening the application and also it's opening the browser and also it's opening the application URL, given application URL. So things are working fine, guys. Anyhow, let's cross check. Yeah, things are good now. So no need to worry. Next step. Next step is we'll automate the remaining things of the login test. Okay. Remaining the login test, whatever we have to automate, whatever things we have to automate, right? We have to click on this my account. Then from there we have to go click on this login. All those things we'll automate. So guys, from now onwards, we'll create the page. We'll utilize page object model, page factory kind of thing. Okay. Page object model and page factory design patterns we'll use. Where are they? You see, we are going to, apart from TestNG Maven properties, we are going to start with page object model and page factory into this framework now. So those are required now. So once you go to this application, the next step is you have to click on this my account. Okay. So this my account option is on the landing page. This is the landing page of the application, right? So what I will do is I'll simply create a package known as page objects. So under src main Java, we'll create a package known as page objects. Let's create a package here under src main Java. Right click new package page objects. This is very important topic for you guys. You should carefully focus on this because this is what you require, right? We are learning a lot of things just to get this kind of situation. Okay. If you are able to understand this framework, means you understood all my previous sessions. Okay. For this purpose, we have gone through a lot of sessions. Now, if you are able to understand these sessions on frameworks and how to automate the live project using this particular framework, then your job is done, guys. You are ready with Selenium thing. Okay, you will be very good at Selenium if you can understand these frameworks. You can check that. Page objects. Click on create a package known as page objects under src main Java. Under this page objects, right click new, create a new class. Name this class as for landing page. I want to create the objects. This my account. I want to create an object. You already know how what I'm not going to explain about page object model, page factory, guys. Okay, what I am doing now is related to page object model, page factory. You already know that. I'm not going to repeat that. Simply going to create a class for this. Which page? Landing page. So I'll say landing page. That's it, landing page. Click on finish. Inside this landing page, I will say WebDriver. All this code I already explained, guys. I'm not going to explain this code for the page objects and all. Okay. Over the mouse, you should understand this by default. Now create a constructor for this landing page, public. So as part of the page object model, page factory, I already covered these concepts. This is the constructor of this class, and this constructor will receive the driver from outside. That is a driver. Okay, you'll get this from outside. So this dot driver is equal driver. You will say this dot driver is equal to driver. Now you have to say page factory dot init elements driver. Here page is this, you have to say. Okay, this class simple. Initialize this objects in this class. Now, this means initialize the objects in this class. Now here we have to create the objects. How to create the objects using the page factory at the rate find by. Inside this you have to say, we have to go to this my account, right click inspect this my account, and you have to create this XPath or something, CSS selector or XPath for this my account. So how to do this? So this one we can inspect. Okay, anchor tag with the title as my account. This is also fine. Okay, anchor tag with the title as my account. So I'll go here and say selectors hub /a at the rate title is equal to my account and press enter. You see, this is locating this my account. We just need this option, this object only, right? So copy this XPath, and say XPath is equal to, put that here, that's it. So under this we have to say web element my account. Okay, my account drop down. Like this you have to create. Over the mouse, import web element, import this at the rate, import this find by annotation from page factory. Then we have this is fine. We have to return this element, guys. Okay, we have to return this element. So another element, how to return this element? We have to say public void, name the same method name as the same web element, because it is returning this my account web element. So here we will say return my account drop down. Okay, so hold the mouse, change method return type to web element. So this will return the web element when called. The web element is nothing but this my account drop down. That's it. Now let's write some code here in the login test saying driver dot. You should not say driver dot and all those stuff. You should not write the code driver dot, all those code we should not write in this test. So instead what we have to do, instead we have to call this, we have to use this landing page. So we have to call this constructor. How to call this constructor? By creating the object for the landing page, we can do that. So let's create an object for this landing page here. Landing page is equal to new landing page, and I have to pass the driver, right? So this class, this is not an empty constructor here. This is an okay. We have to pass the like driver here. Constructor is not empty here. We have to pass the driver. So the driver that is being used by this login test. So this particular driver need to be passed to this landing page. You already know as part of this page factory and page object model and page factory, I already covered this topic. Okay, so I'm going straightforward. Import landing page from page objects like this. Now using the landing page object, I'll say landing page dot my account drop down. I'll call this method, guys. This method I'm calling my account drop down. So this will return you the object of my account. So on this particular object, what I have to do, on this particular web element, that is my account drop down web element. What I have to do, I have to perform click operation. Dot click, that's it. So after clicking on this, I have to click on the login. Login is also there on the landing page. So what I have to do, go to the landing page, and here also say say at the rate find by create object for the login also. Right click inspect login. So this login is a link text, guys. Login text is there in the anchor tag. So link text you can say. Copy this link text and say at the rate find by link text is equal to give the link text. And here web element login option I will say. Okay, gone, done. So now return this login option using a method. So for this login option, we have to create a method that is public void this login option. So here have to return what? Have to return this login option only. This web element I have to return. This web element I have to return. For the mouse, change method return type to web elements. That's it. So next thing here is here we have to say landing page dot login option dot click I have to say. Now we have clicked on the login also. So now we'll be taken to this login page. We'll be taken to this login page. So here we need to enter some credentials. We need to enter some credentials. So how to enter the credentials? So email address and password we have to enter. So in order to enter into the enter email address into this email address field, inspect this email address, and it has some ID, guys. Input hyphen email ID is there. But you see, guys, this email address belongs to which page? This email address field belongs to which page? Landing page or login page? Guys, what do you think? This email address field belongs to which page? Landing page or login page? Which page, guys? Yes, Krish, you are right. It belongs to the login page. So login page means, can I create the objects for this email address in this landing page, or a separate page we have to create? We have to create a separate page. That is login page we have to create. We should not create the objects of the login page under landing page, right? So we'll close this. We'll create another under page objects. We'll create another class for login page. Right click new class known as login page. Click on finish. Here in the login page, again write the same code, guys. Web driver. This code is repeating for every page. Web driver. Okay. So we have to create a constructor that is public login page. So we have to what we have to do here? We have to receive WebDriver from outside. Now say this dot driver is equal to driver. Okay, this dot driver is equal to driver. Save it. This dot driver is equal to driver. Now what else we have to do? Here we have to say page factory dot init elements driver. Here page I have to say this. That's it. Now we have to create the objects. So which object we have to create? First we have to create the email address. For that we have the ID, right? Copy the ID of this email address. Say at the rate find by ID is equal to give the ID. And here say web element email address field. For the mouse, import this web element, import this find by. We have to return this email address. Along with the email address, we are anyhow going to enter the password and this login. Click on the login button. So three things I will create first. So at the rate find by. The next one, ID is equal to. Let's see whether this has an ID. Password has an ID. Yes, password is also having the ID. So I'll copy the ID. Put that here. Web element. Okay, web element password field. Done. Next thing, for the next one, login button. Right click inspect on the login button. we have to create something here. Let's say, let's create some CSS selector. Input value, input value is equal to login. Okay, select this one. Input value is equal to login. Press enter. You see this got highlighted. That means this is a CSS selector for this login. So I'll say at the rate find by CSS is equal to, sorry, put that in double quotes and give CSS is equal to, again and paste it here inside the double quotes. So web element, here I have to give login button. Okay, login button. I'll return all these things. Okay, for all the objects I created, I'll return them. How to return? Public void. First one, email address field. Copy this. I'll convert this into a method by putting the circular brackets at the end of this name. I simply have to say return email address field. Over the mouse, change method return type. Similarly, I'll create the methods for these two things also. Public void this password field. Simply call this methods, guys. Okay. So return password field. Change the return method return type to web element. Next one, public void. The third one is this login button. Return login button and change the return type to web element. Fine. Save this. Save this. Now go to login test. Here I need to perform these operations, guys. Not to perform the operations, what I have to do, first I have to create an object for the login page. Then only this constructor will be called and the initialization will be done, and web elements will be also be initialized. Then you can use all these web elements, right? So let's create an object. Login page. Login page. Login page is equal to new login page, and I have to pass the driver. We have to pass the driver. Over the mouse, import login page. Now say login page dot email address field dot send keys we have to say. Okay, send keys. We are calling this email address field from the login page. You see this method we are calling from the login page. So login page dot email address field dot send keys. Here I'll hard code first now. Okay, for now I'll hard code. Later I will update it anyhow. So first let me hard code the data here. Which email address I want to enter? Arun dot selenium @gmail.com. Okay, then login page dot password field dot send keys. I'll give the password as second @123. Then login page dot login button dot click. Like this we have to write, guys. This has to click on the, has to give the username, password, and click on the login button. Three things are done. Fine. Let's see whether our script is working so far. Okay. So up to login page we created, guys. We'll run the script to see whether this is executing so far. Okay. It should be able to open the browser, maximize the browser here. Then it should be able to open the application URL. Then it should be able to click on the my account drop down, login option. Then it has to go to the login page. It has to enter the email address and password and then click on the login button. So let's see whether all these things are working or not. Right click, run as TestNG test. I'm running the test, login test, to see whether the things are working fine or not. Okay, it has gone to the landing page, clicked on the my account. It was very fast, guys. So there is a problem here, like the credentials are not getting entered here. Okay, so maybe there is a timing issue. We'll add some thread.sleep here to see what's going wrong. Thread.sleep, say give 3 seconds of time, add throws, save this. Now run this again. Right click, run as TestNG test. So it will be very fast, right? It will directly go click on the my account and log in. You cannot even see that in action. See, it was very fast. It will wait for 3 seconds. It has entered the username password and clicked on the login button. You see, it was able to log in. So when I added some weight, here, things are working fine, right? When I added some weight, things are working fine here. So for now, let's keep this red dot sleep. Okay, for now, let's keep this red dot sleep. Later we'll modify that. Okay, later we'll modify that. So things are working so far, so good. Once you have logged in, what we have to do? We have to verify whether we have successfully logged in or not, right? We have to verify whether we have successfully logged in or not. How to verify that? I'll verify using this option, guys. Edit your account in. If you get this edit your account information option, that means you have successfully logged in. So this particular option is available in the account page. So let's create another page, say account page, new class, create another class for account page, repeat the same things. Okay. So whatever the page object model page factory you do, the same thing you have to repeat. Web driver driver over the mouse. What's happening? Save this, import this WebDriver, public, create the constructor of account page. Okay, create the constructor. And this constructor will receive this WebDriver driver, and I will say this dot driver is equal to driver. Now we have to say page factory dot init elements driver. This I have to say. These steps are common, guys, everywhere. At the rate find by this option, right? Right click inspect. This one mostly will be a link text, guys. This is a link text. I'll create the link text. Link text is equal to, view it here like this and say web element, paste this here, edit account information link. Okay, or option you can say, anything you can give. And we have to import this web element, import this at the rate find by, and we have to public void, we have to return this web element. So for that we have to create the method, and we have to say return this element, or change method return type to web element. That's it. Any other things we have to do here? Nothing. Go to the login test again. Go to the, I'll close all these things. If it is confusing for you, I'll close all these things. We are working on the login test. So here again, we have to create the object for this account page, right? At this point, we have to create an account for the account page. Account page is equal to new account page. So hover the mouse on the account page, import this account page from page objects, pass the driver here. This particular driver we are passing, driver related to our login test, we are passing to this particular page. And then from the account page, we will be getting the required web element, that is account page dot edit account option. So we have to validate this, right? We have to validate whether this is displayed or not. Is displayed or not. How to validate? We have to use test ng assertions. Assert dot. So if it is displayed, this particular thing will return true. So we have to assert for true only. Assert dot assert true. Okay. From test ng, I am selecting this assert true. Test ng. So test ng. I have to verify, like make sure that test ng is there here. Okay. Test ng assertions. Fine. Assert dot assert true. We have to pass this condition here in place of this condition. That's it. So this will verify whether our test is passed or failed. Whether we are able to log in or not, this particular step will tell. Right? Save this. Now assert dot assert true. Account page dot edit account information option dot is displayed. If this account information option is coming, that means we have successfully logged in. So this will return true if you have successfully logged in, and we are validating using test ng assertions whether our test is passing or failing. Right? Let's see this. So how to see? Let's run this and see whether this thing is working or not. Right click run as test ng test. So it should be able to successfully log in and verify whether the edit account information option is coming or not. Okay, so it will not close the browser because we have not written any code for that. Here go and see whether you see everything is passing. And also you can see the TestNG results also, guys. So TestNG results are also passing. That means this assertion has been passed. Fine. Now, what are the next steps we have to do? So we have hard coded the things. What are the different things we have hard coded here? Email address we have hard coded. Here password we have hard coded. Instead we'll read this email address from the properties file, and instead we'll read this password from the properties file. So for that we'll add this email and password here. Email is equal to, what is the email, guys? Just copy paste this part. Just put that email here, and password is equal to, what is the password? Password is nothing but this password. Just copy paste the password and email address. And how to read them? Simple. Here, instead of giving this double quotes and all, you'll say prop dot get property of, we have to give the email. That's it. Here, instead of password, you have to give prop dot get property. Here we have to pass the password property. Okay. So this password property we have to pass. Copy this and paste it here. That's it. Save this. Now hard coding is gone. Let's see whether the things are working fine or not after removing the hard coding. So every time we have to cross check, guys, because this is a framework. So we have to correct the steps wherever it is possible, because things will not become complex. Step by step we have to modify and go forward. Enter email address, enter password. You see that is working fine. This is working fine, guys. Okay, things are working fine for us. Thing got passed. Fine. Next step. Next step is, so for closing the browser, we have to create another method, right? For closing the browser. So far, our test is getting launched, our browser is getting launched, application is opening, and all operations are being performed, but the browser is not getting closed for every test run. So for that, I'll create another method, that is public void. So you can either say tear down. A lot of people you see using a tear down. Okay. So, or you can say closure, or any name you can give here, guys. A tear down people will be using. So you can either use tear down, or you can say closure, whatever you feel convenient. This is after method, guys. This is after method. Over the mouse on at the rate after method, import this after method from TestNG. So here we have to say driver dot close. Driver dot close. The problem here is driver is not recognizable here, because this is declared inside this method. So make it global inside this login test. Make it driver like this. And now you say driver dot closes. You have to remove this. Don't forget to remove this, guys. Once you declared here, you should not declare inside the methods. So otherwise things will go wrong. Some common mistake everyone will do. Okay, once they declare, make it global, they will forget to remove the declaration from inside the methods. That will cause the problems. So they will not understand why the scripts are not working afterwards. Okay, if you make this global, you have to remove it from local. That's it, guys. I think this should work this time. It should not only verify whether we have successfully logged in or not. After that, it should close the browser also. Let's cross check whether that is happening or not. Every time we have to cross check. So things should be very good for now. Then that's it. You see, browser has been closed by itself. I have not closed the browser. Login test. Okay, login test has been successfully passed. Fine. So now, guys, so we are done up to here. We have gone through a lot of steps already. So now next thing is parameterizing the test. So I want to make this data driven. How it is possible, guys? Data driven is possible with the help of TestNG, right? So here I am only passing a single email address, single password to this login test method. This login method is being passed only with single email address, single password. And these two email address and password are valid credentials. What if I want to test the same login with invalid credentials and see the user is not successfully logged in? In case of passing the valid credentials, the login should successfully happen. In case of passing the invalid credentials here, the login test should fail. Two things I have to verify. For that, For that, I should not pass these values from the properties file, guys, because you see here already one set of data is there. So how to manage the second set of data? That's not correct, right? So we'll go with the data provider. In TestNG, we have something like data provider from where we are going to pass this data. Okay, we're going to pass this data from the data provider rather than from the data.properties file. So we'll see that how to modify this codes to make it data driven, where you will not only pass the valid credentials but also pass the invalid credentials here. How to do that? So for that, I will create another method, public void get login data. You can give any name for this method. I'll just giving get login data here. So here I'll annotate this with the data provider annotation over the mouse. Import this data provider from TestNG. Then here create an object. All these things you already know, guys. I'm not going to repeat again. The data provider concepts you already know. I covered this as part of TestNG. I'm just using it here again. So here object or data is equal to, okay, I'll give like this. I'll give some sets of data. How many sets of data I want to pass? I want to pass two sets of data. So comma, like this you have to pass two sets of data. Just surround this with curly brackets again. Put the semicolon here. And in this, here, write down something like this. I want to pass the email address. The first email address I would like to pass is arun.selenium@gmail.com. Okay. Comma, password. Second @123. And the login should be successful or not. This login should be successful. I'll pass successful here. Okay, I'll pass successful. Then another set of data I will pass, that is I'll say dummy@test.com. Invalid credentials I am passing, guys. Okay, I'm passing invalid credentials. Here password is also dummy, and the login should fail, right? Login should not be successful. It should be a failure. Login should be a failure. So I'm just passing two sets of data. First set of data, second set of data. So this method will return this data. This method will return this data. So I have to say return data. Over the mouse, change the method return type to this data type, that is object array, two-dimensional object array. So this data will be returned. So this is the data provider we created, guys. From the data provider of TestNG, we are passing the, we'll pass the data to this test method. How to connect this test with this data provider? We already know. That's nothing but here we have to add one more annotation at the rate, sorry, in this at the rate test, sorry, not annotation, guys. In the at the rate test, we have to add the parameter, that is data provider is equal to the name of this, data provider. That is nothing but in the double quotes we'll provide this one. At the rate test data provider is equal to get login data. So we connected this data provider with test method, right? We connected this data provider with test method now. So it's now connected, but this method has to receive the data. For that, we have to add the parameters. So here there are, first set of data is having three data. Second set of data is having three sets of data. Okay, three parameters. We have to create three parameters here, guys. This particular method has to receive three parameter values. So don't create a one or two here. It will result in error, guys. When you run the code, it will result in error because here this first set of data is having three parameters. Second set of data should have three parameters. So we have to create three parameters here. Make sure the count is same. Okay, otherwise it will result in errors, guys. First one is of string type, right? This email is of string type. So you can simply say string email, comma. Second one is string password. Third one is string status or string expected result. You can say expected result is should be either successfully login or successfully fail. Expected status. Expected status. Save this. So here, guys, you are receiving this email. So you should not get this from properties file. Remove this email address and password from the properties file. because we are passing the data from the data provider rather than the properties file. So here we are no more getting this data from the properties file. Remove these two things. Rather, we are receiving them from the this data provider. So how to receive them? So this method is retrieving those data into these parameters. So simply provide this parameter data into here. Wherever email is required, provide email. Wherever password is required, say password. Okay. This express status, we are going to modify the code. Okay. According to the expected status, we are going to modify the code anyhow. So once we go to the account page, this thing, so we have to write some code here regarding expected status. So we have to get the actual status now. How to get the actual status? So when the expected status is this one, actual status is dot displayed. So here, this one guys is displayed. This will result in true for something, but exception for some other thing. You'll see that first before implementing this expected status, we'll run this code 2 times. This test will run 2 times. One with the first set of data that is valid credentials, second set of data that is invalid credentials. In case of invalid credentials, this element will not be visible. So this will give some exception, guys. So we'll see that exception now. So I'll just say system.out.println. I'll just put that for now in the system.out.println. Later change this code. Okay. We'll later change this code. I'll put this inside the system.out.println. If I run this code, this particular test has to run 2 times. First with first set of data, second time with second set of data. Okay. So simply we are just printing the whether this edit account information option that is there on the account page. If account page means that is already logged in, right? It's displayed or not. If it is true, that means successful login. If it is not true, then it is a failure kind of thing. Okay, not logged in. So run this login test.java. Right click, run as test-ng test. You see, first test got printed as true. That means successfully logged in. Now second test is running. The same test running with other set of data, which is provided by the data provider. You see, something happened and things are not moving. So it will wait for 10 seconds mostly. Implicit wait is implemented for 10 seconds. You see, after 10 seconds, the browser got closed. Nothing got printed here. If you go to the test-ng results or something, so failure is 1, passing is 1. Why failure is coming? Here we got an exception. What is that exception? In case of pass, first test is passed with valid credentials, it is pass. But second, invalid credentials, it should not pass, right? So because it will not pass because it will give this exception because this edit account information option will not be available, right? In case of invalid credentials, this option will not be available. No such element exception. You see, edit account information option is not available, unable to locate this element. That's why. So this particular thing is actually giving you some exception. In case of invalid credential, it's giving exception. Instead of exception, what we have to do is you'll put this in try catch block, guys. Okay, you simply put that in try catch block. This particular statement, okay, we'll put in try catch block. Instead of printing like this is displayed and all, if this element is available means things are good, right? So here I'll put this inside a try catch block, try block, and here I will add something like this. I'll add here, I'll say string actual result. Expected result is failure or success, we don't know. Okay, actual result. Here actual result is equal to also successful. Actual result is equal to successful. Put a semicolon. So if exception is coming means the actual result is failure, right? If exception is coming here, if this option is not available, then actual result should be failure. The exception is not coming, what happens? If the option is available, it will go to the next line. It will not give an exception and go to the catch block, right? This step will be executed and actual result will be assumed to be successful. So here I will say catch. So I am writing the code like this, guys. It doesn't mean that you have to also write the code in the same manner. Okay, I prefer like this way. So you have to implement your own logic. Exception E. Here I'll not print the exception, but I will say actual result is equal to fair. I'm simply handling the exception. Okay, I'm simply handling the exception. Failure, I will say. So in case of failure also, test is passing only. You see, if you are passing valid credentials, the expected result is successful, right? Test login will happen successfully with valid credentials and test is passed. In case of invalid credentials, you are passing invalid credentials, test should log in or not. It should not log in. If it logs in only, the error is there or defect is there. If this invalid credentials, if you are able to log in means error is there, guys. Defect is there in the application. With invalid credentials, if you get the actual result as failure, that means the test should pass, not fail. Here test is failing, even though it has to fail also, it is failing here, right? You're understanding, right? Here with invalid credentials, the test should actually, the login should fail. The login should fail. We have to check for the failure only, but we have to make the test as pass. We have to make the test as pass because it is not logging in with invalid credentials. That is a passing test case only. The test case result should be pass. So that's why we are implementing this kind of concept, guys. Actual result and expected result concept. Here expected status will come. Here you can say if you want expected result. Okay, expected result should be here in case of first set of data, the expected result should be successful. In case of second set of data, expected result should be failure. Okay, we have to get the appropriate things. Now here I will say, here you can now say assert dot assert equals, okay, assert dot assert equals actual and expected. Here I will say actual result and here I will say expected result. If these two matches, that means test will pass. If these two matches, in case of valid credentials, successful should be the actual expected result and successful should be the expected result. Okay, in case of invalid data, in case of invalid data, failure should be the expected result and failure should be the actual result. Then the test will pass like this. Like this, we have to write it properly, guys. Now save this and run the code. Okay, this time the test should pass, guys. In both the this data, it should be successful login. This data, the login should be failed. So expected should be failed. So both the tests should pass. Right click run as test ng test. Otherwise, if these things are not working properly, there will be a defect, guys. You have to report a defect to your client. Okay. According to the data, the test should log in or should not log in. Like this, we are writing the logic. Yeah, fine. Second one, dummy, dummy at the rate test.com will be entered. You see, both the cases, something happened here. Let's see what happened. Here again, we got some exception. Expected failure, but found successful. Okay, there's something going wrong. Okay, so where exactly the things are going wrong? Edit account information is exception is coming here. It should be failure only, right? Actual result equals should pass this time. I don't know why it's failing. So dummy successful is coming somehow. I don't know why successful is coming. We are passing failure only. They are expecting the failure. That's correct. But expected actual result is coming as successful still. So what we have to do? Okay, there is something we are missing, guys. Why this is not happening? We have to see. Okay, if it is still going to the try block or not, we don't know, right? So we'll do one thing. We'll actually put a breakpoint here, somewhere here, near try block. I don't know. Yeah, this is a step we can put a breakpoint and run this and see where exactly it's going wrong. Right click. Instead of running as, we'll say debug as test ng test. Debugging. We are going to debug the problem. We are going to troubleshoot the problem, guys. So we'll see what's happening. Login. Switch to debugging mode. Switch. In case of pass, it's not a problem. Okay, so here expected result is successful. This is all fine. Email is this one, password is this one, and we have to say step over, step over, login test email. Actual is not coming, right? Actual result came here. You see, successful is the actual result. And again, step over. Just click on. Maybe invoke is something is invoking. So I'll do one thing. I'll just play resume it, or have to do step return. Yeah, 1 minute. Step over, step into. No, yeah, resume it. Till next breakpoint will run. Okay, till next breakpoint will run. The second test has to run, right? With second set of data. So again, it will stop at that particular breakpoint. Let's wait. Go till that breakpoint. Again, it stopped at the particular breakpoint. So at present, actual result didn't come. Expected result is failure, but actual result didn't come. Okay. Again, you see actual result is becoming successful. There's something going wrong with the actual result. Okay. So let's resume it and then close the step. Okay. So it's not required. So let's switch to the normal mode, remove the debugging mode and switch to the normal mode. So this is a debugging mode. This is a normal mode, guys. Okay. So somewhere the things are going wrong. So let's see. Let's say this particular data is passed. The data is going here. Dummy test dummy and expected result is failure here. Initialize driver. Open the application. Uh, like it has clicked on the login. Then it has to enter the credentials. In case of email, it has to enter this dummy test. In case of password, it has to enter this password. That's fine. Dummy password. And when it clicks, it will not log in. Okay. When it clicks, it will not log in. Now account page, account dot edit information option should not be coming, right? Actual result failure. So failure is correct. Okay. It will go to the catch block definitely. It is going to the catch block, I feel. Should actually, let's see whether this is in going to the catch block or not. System dot, I'll print, write some dummy statement here, system dot out dot println inside catch block. Okay. Here I'll print system dot out dot println inside try block just to verify whether the code is going according to the way we want or not. Okay. So right click run as test test. So based on this printing statements, we can understand what's the flow and all those stuff and see whether we can troubleshoot the problem or not. Inside try block, the first for the first one, first test. The second test we have to see this. Okay, where exactly the navigation is going, we have to see for the second test. It's entering the dummy credentials. You see again inside try block is printing. That means somehow actually this is not giving an exception. This is not giving an exception, guys. This option is not giving exception. Let's see what's happening in case of second test. Login. Say dummy at the rate test.com. Password is dummy again. Click on login. So here it's able to find this option. Edit in, account information option is being found. That's nothing but this link text. Where is that? Edit account. I think it should not be there. Uh, okay, edit account information option is not available anywhere, right? But still it's not giving an exception here in the try block. That's a problem. Edit account information should not work, but still it is working. So let's cross check, guys. Let's not waste any time because this is something related to test, not related to the framework. So I can solve it in some time point of time, but the problem is we are simply wasting the time. So instead of avoiding wasting of the time, let's see whether we can just get the solution from my thing that I already written. Okay. So here, let's see what exactly is going wrong. The try block also I have to verify this. Okay, so that's a major thing I did. Fine. So guys, there is something that we have to do. Okay, so one more condition will make our job easy. Fine, actual result is equal to null, that's fine. So here guys, not simply assign actual result is equal to successful here. Okay, directly assigning it, right? Instead I'll keep one more condition here. If this is displayed only, then if it is displayed, this option is displayed only, account information option is displayed only, then give the actual result as successful. Okay, if condition actual result is successful only when this particular option is displayed. Otherwise, don't give the actual results as success. Even after in try block also, we have to mention this. Like this we have to do. And here guys, if this option is displayed, then actual result is successful. Even if you go into a try block, unnecessarily you are not assigning actual result is called successful, guys. Okay, so based on the condition, proper condition only we are assigning that. That is one step we have to take. And next thing is, this is all good actually. Whatever we have written is correct only. Only one thing we didn't write is actual result is this if block we have not written. One more thing as part of this context, guys. If this if condition has only one step, you don't have to mention this double these things. Okay, so this single line will be part of the if condition only. Okay, if you keep or don't keep, that's optional, guys, here. Okay, for single line, not a problem. You can put this or you can avoid this. Okay, but anyhow, I am just putting this so that you'll be easily understanding this stuff. So actual result, initialize variable to null. Okay, so now say run. Now run it, guys. Let's see what's happening this time. Right click, run as test test. Each displayed should be added, guys. Then only the exception and all those things are getting considered, I guess. So this time it should work. Email address, password. Yeah, fine. Second, dummy, it should not log in and the option will not be displayed. When the option is not displayed, it will go to the catch block mostly. So it will wait for the option to be displayed for 10 seconds because implicit wait is implemented in the initialize driver method of the framework. You see this time 2 passes, right? So only this if condition was necessary there. I just forgot that. Apart from that, everything is correct. You see, for dummy, failure is expected, failure is coming. For valid credential, successful is expected, successful is coming. So like this, guys, we have to provide the data provider. We don't need data properties now. We are passing the data. If you have multiple sets of data, you should not use data provider. If you have multiple sets of data, you should not use data.properties. You have to pass the data from the data provider. TestNG data provider, we have to pass the data. Same test has to be executed multiple times. In that case, you have to pass the data from the data provider, not from the properties. Only single set of data. If you don't want to hard code, you have to put into the properties file. Otherwise, pass the multiple sets of data from the data provider of the test engine to this particular test. That's the concept, guys. That's what I wanted to mention. Now, next thing is last thing, guys. Last thing we'll do. After that, we'll close for today. So this is the last thing that I'm going to do for today. That is create. Okay. So we can do up to here, I guess. 1 minute, guys. So we can actually do up to here, guys. This will be good. Okay, this part let's cover today. It will not take that much time. So this next thing from log4j will cover from the tomorrow session. Okay, we'll cover from log4j in the tomorrow session. For today, we'll just cover up to here. So let's finish up these things. They are very simple, guys. It will not take that much time. So it's very simple things. So create at the rate before method. So here, guys, you see you are initializing the driver also in the test. Okay, the test should not have this particular things. Let's separate this into the at the rate here. After method is there for closing the browser, for initializing the browser or opening the browser and maximizing the browser and opening the application URL. You should not have this particular thing in the test method. Instead, we can create another method, that is public void open. Okay, open application or something. You can write like this, open application or something, or So you can give any name here, guys. Okay, you can give any name, setup or something like this. So here I'll say at the rate before method, for the mouse, import this before method annotation from testng. This method will be executed before this test method, right? So in that I'll put these two lines. I'll remove this line. So only this particular method, test method, should only have the test related stuff. Okay, whatever we want to test should be there here. Initialization things should be there here in the open application before method, because it will be executed before this test method. So one error is coming, guys. Initialize driver, add throws, we have to say simply that is gone. So initialization of the browser and opening of the browser, maximizing the browser, opening the application URL will happen in the before method. After that, test will start and all these things will be done. And then finally, after method will be run where browser will be closed. So this test will be executed two times. Two times this after method or before method will be executed. Fine, that's fine. Things should work fine. So before method is implemented where we moved the code into the before method. Some part of the test method code into the before method. This is a proper way of writing, guys. So now, guys, let me run this to see whether these things are working or not. Right click, run as testng test. Every time we have to run, guys. For small changes also we have to run to see whether we are in the proper way or not. So it's running. Second time it's running, it seems. So it will wait for 10 seconds and close. Done. So two passes happened. So things are working fine. Things are working fine even after moving some part of the code to the before method. Now let's create some dummy test classes with SOP statements. So guys, I'm not going to automate more test cases. This is how we have to automate, guys. Okay. One of the automation for login test I implemented and completely implemented the login test. You can take other test cases if you want, like if you want to take some assignments or something. What you can do is you can go to this application, try to automate this thing, registration. Okay. Another test you can create. So apart from this login test, you can create register test. Okay, create page objects for that. Okay, follow the page object model and page factory kind of design patterns, and then create separate classes which are required during this particular register test. You can do it for on your own, guys, if you want. Okay, and if you want to get this framework to the next level, I mean, if you want more test cases in this particular framework, just try to automate the another test case for the registration. So try to enter the credentials and see whether you're able to register or not. Like that, one of the test cases you can take, or you can take another any number of test cases you can take. It's not a problem. Okay, but I am, as part of this framework related stuff, I am going to only automate this particular login test only. I'm not going to automate more scenarios for you. Okay, this is only one I'm trying to automate. So you know how to create these classes and all those stuff. So based on your requirement, you can keep on automating. Fine. Only this particular test is there. Remaining test, I'm trying to create a dummy test, guys. Okay. This will not have the Selenium automation code. It's a normal code will be there. You can say login test. I'll say test two. I'll say okay. Test two. Dummy test. Click on finish. Just to have multiple tests, I'm just creating them. Nothing more than that. Public void. Okay. Public void. Test two. Two test. Test two or two test. Anything you can say. Some method I'm creating. I have to convert this method into the testng test method. Don't forget this, guys. In all the test cases, it should be there. Okay, test method should be there. Import. So here I'll be writing some sample SOP statements for now. System.out.println. Assume that this is a Selenium code, which is there in another test case. Okay, inside test two, test two. Okay, inside test two, I'll say, or else simply test two, I'll print. This will say that we are in the test two. Then similarly, create another class. Right click new, another dummy class. Say test three. Click on finish. Public void test three. Again, annotate this with @test annotation. Over the mouse, import this. So here, this is the test method now. Sorry, this is the test method now. So here system.out.println, I'll simply say test three. That's it. Now one more. test I'm creating, dummy test, that is test 4. Actually, I have to give a proper names, guys. Instead of giving test 3, test 2, I have to say 3 test, 2 test, 4 test. Okay, let me refactor this. Right click, refactor, rename. Test should happen. This particular test word should be there at the end rather than the beginning of this class names. 3 tests should be there instead of test 3. Here, 2 tests should be there instead of test 2. Okay, refactor, rename. I'm just renaming the names of these classes. 2 tests. Okay, so just made a mistake, so I'm just correcting that. So here 4 test. 4 test. Test should come in the end of the name. Click on finish. Here I'll say public void test 4. Here the rate test over the mouse. Import this from testng. Say system.out.println. Simply print test 4. That's it. So some dummy classes, extra classes I created along with this login test. Now next thing what I have to do is I'm converting this project into testng project. Okay, so I want to create the testng.xml. How to create the testng.xml file, guys? How to create the testng.xml file? If you remember, for this project I have to create the testng.xml file. How to create? Simply right click on the project, go to testng and say convert to testng. That's it, and you will get this. You see, by default all the classes are there here. By default all the classes are there here, right? So whatever the classes we create, login test, 3 test, 2 test, 3 test, 4 test, like this. Why I'm creating the testng.xml file? Let me explain that. Before creating the testng.xml file, let me explain. If I want to run the login test individually, I'll say right click run as testng test. If I want to run this 2 tests, right click run as testng test. Only this particular test will run, not all. If I want to run all these tests as a group, I want to run all these 4 tests. I need testng.xml file. Other than without that, I cannot run all these 4 classes as a group. Go to testng, convert to testng. Okay, so create this testng.xml file. So open this testng.xml file. By default it has 4 classes, right? 4 classes are there. When you run this testng.xml file, all these 4 classes will be executed. You can see that. Okay, we can see that. So let's run this testng.xml file. Right click run as testng suite. You see all the four tests will be run, not single test. If you want to run, you see test 2, test 4 already done. Test 2 to test 4 already done. Now test 1 is login test is getting executed, it seems. 2 times it will run login test with valid credentials, with invalid credentials. Then finally test 3 should be executed at the end. From this output you can see that test 2 is already run, test 4 is already executed. Now login test is getting executed, which will not print anything into the output, but it will verify the things. So it will close after 10 seconds for invalid credentials. Yeah, done. You see 5 methods. So you see test 3 also run. So all the test cases got run together as a group using the testng.xml file. If you want to run testng.xml file, you can run that. And integrating with Maven is also very simple, guys. Using the Maven command I want to run. How to do that? For that we have some simple steps, right? We have to add the Maven Surefire plugin first. Okay, we have to add the Maven Surefire plugin to this form.xml file. As explained in the Maven sessions, you have to add the Maven Surefire plugin here. So how to do that? For that we have to say Maven testng configuration. Just search for this word Maven testng configuration. Just click on this Maven Apache.Maven Surefire plugin thing and go here. Just scroll down in this page. Somewhere here you will see the complete plugin information, the latest plugin version, and also configuration is there. This configuration is important where it refers the testng.xml file. Copy this entire thing. Copy this and go to your pom.xml file, and in the plugins, if this section is not there, if this section is there not there, you have to add this build, you have to add this plugins, you have to add. Okay, so it should look like this. Under plugins we have to add. Okay, so build plugins, under plugins we have to add this Maven Surefire already will be there. I'll just replace this part. Okay, already in my Eclipse ID by default it is coming. So if it is not coming for you, just add it freshly, or if it is already coming, you can replace it with the latest code. So you can organize if you want. Like this you can organize. So this this configuration of this Maven Surefire plugin is referring to testng.xml file. Just cross check whether the name of this testng.xml file is same as the name of this testng.xml file. If both are same, then guys, this time things are good. Okay, already Maven Surefire plugin is added to the pom.xml file. What we can do here is right click on this project, say properties, go to this project location in your system, go to this project location, open this project. Okay, open this project. You have to see this pom.xml file here. When you see this pom.xml file of this project, then select here and type cmd. The command line will open at this project path, okay, where this pom.xml file is visible. At this place, we have to type mvn test. MVN test. You already know all these things as part of the Maven I explained, guys. Okay, MVN test. You see, from command line, I will be able to run the tests now. Using Maven, I am running the tests. All the 4 tests should run. All the 4 tests in the project should run, guys. With this Maven MVN test command will invoke the testng.xml file. Testng.xml file has 4 tests already written under the classes. All those 4 classes will be executed, guys. All the 4 classes will be executed. So this is how we can integrate Maven into the framework. Okay, in a proper way. By adding the Maven Surefire plugin, we can get this done. So guys, let's wait for all this tests to be run properly. Guys, this framework is very important. If you were able to automate this scenario and understand whatever I'm explaining as part of this frameworks, then you can treat yourself as very good. Okay, you can become more confident, guys. Once you are able to solve these problems on your own, you see 5 tests are run, nothing got failed, everything is passed. Okay, you can see the output also. Test 4 got printed here, test 2 got printed here, then test 3 got printed here. You already seen the login test executing happen using the browser and all. Okay, fine. Looks like we are done for today. So this is the part 1, you can say part 1 of developing a framework and automating a live project using this particular framework. So we have few more sessions left, guys. Few more sessions where I will continue developing the framework and automating the live project. And at the end, we'll also integrate this particular thing into the GitHub and Jenkins, guys. Okay, that is the last thing. So to make you guys go into real-time feel where in the real-time projects how the people work. So they will have a framework, they will have some test cases, and they will use GitHub, and Jenkins. So we have to complete until that GitHub and Jenkins, guys. Okay, first we have to develop the framework. Automating the live project is already done today. So we just have to improvise the framework so that things will be more better. Like we have to import other framework concepts like apart from this, we have to add taking the screenshots, okay, reports generation, log4j for logging, then Cucumber BDD, we'll convert this framework into the Cucumber BDD, and thereafter we'll go to GitHub and Jenkins. Okay, last part is GitHub and Jenkins. So those are left, guys. Those will be covered as part of the upcoming sessions, that is next sessions. So guys, that's it for today. Any questions, any doubts, guys, before I wind up today's session? If you are clear, type S and we can leave for today. Great, guys, but practice. Okay, good to see all the clear messages. Fine, so just practice, guys. Whatever explained today, just try to do on your own, and this will boost your confidence like anything. And tomorrow we'll continue developing other parts of the framework. Okay, other parts of the framework. Fine, guys, so that's it, guys. See you in tomorrow's session. Bye, guys.